do the subtitles automatically. Okay, they're in.
You're in? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming to the January 24th Town Board meeting. We have an exit to the left, an exit to the right. And at this point, I'd like everyone to join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're having a little.
It's like the radio.
You're good?
Want to out the backwards.
Okay. Okay. So before we start with the public comment, we have a special guest tonight, our County Executive, George Latimer. Janet, can you let George or unmute him and let him in?
Yep, George, I'm asking you to unmute.
Okay, I have unmuted.
Yep, we can hear you.
Very good. Well, thank you, Mr. Supervisor, members of the council. I'm sorry to add an agenda bullet to your item, but I thought it would be a good idea in the first month of the year to give you a quick update on where we are with the COVID infections, such a overarching issue for all of us around the county. I'll try to run through a few things as quickly as I can. These are obviously countywide numbers. We're in a regional setting, but people begin their day in one part of the county and might work in another part of the county, might travel through other places. So we do look at this as regional, even though each community looks at it in terms of what's the extent of the infection in their home area. The short skinny is the numbers have been getting better now for the last week or so from the worst case scenario that we had on the Omicron variant. We've all heard that Omicron is a much more contagious strain, and it was backed up by us having a tremendous amount of active cases in the county. At one point, about 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, we had 36,000 active cases, meaning people who had contracted the disease, tested positive, but who had not gone through the 10-day period of working through the disease, the protocol period. We never had that many people in any of the prior iterations. Even at the very beginning of the pandemic, the most we got to was about 12,000 people with active cases. But as Omicron was more widespread, it was also apparently less severe to those of us who have been vaccinated. I was one like many others. So what we've seen is we now have 13,309 active cases, down from 36,000, excuse me. We have 486 people that are hospitalized countywide. That's down from a peak of 677 about 2 weeks ago. Put that in perspective, the most number of people we have ever had hospitalized for COVID came right at the outset, the first month of the pandemic, where at one point we had 1,200 people hospitalized. So our more recent peak under Omicron of 677 was a little more than half of that, and that number has come down. The number of fatalities has been, as it is an accumulative statistic, but we've had more fatalities now in this month than we've had in the last couple of months. We had 7 fatalities in the month of November, 60 fatalities in the month of December, and in the first 3 weeks of January, we've had 160 fatalities. So that is clearly a negative situation. However, what we've also seen is that the majority of people who have suffered from this the most are people who are unvaccinated, which means that vaccination does have its positive effect on reducing the likelihood of a person getting seriously ill. I know that's a debatable point for some out in the society. In Westchester County, over 90%, 95% of the people have been vaccinated at least once. We're in the 80 percentile for people who've been vaccinated twice. And now the third shot, also known as a booster shot, but the third shot has a lower level at this point, under 50%. As that number rises, more people will be more fully protected from this. And so we're encouraged by the dropping numbers. We know that it has a seasonal reality. When it gets cold weather, more people go indoors, and the more indoors you are, the more likely that the disease spreads. And that obviously, is a concern for all of us. What we have been able to do is reestablish Westchester County Center as a center for both testing and vaccination, but it's not 7 days a week as it was when the state was the primary operator. Our operating of it, there's set times and dates for vaccinations. You can get vaccinations now much more easily than you could in the beginning of the pandemic. You can get them at hospitals, medical groups, pharmacies, more readily now than before. If you may remember when it first started, people were driving across the state, going to far upstate New York to get a shot or going into the city. You don't have to do that now. The county does have that available. We are working with the school districts in going inside schools for pediatric vaccination. We have second doses coming up tomorrow at Fox Lane High School over in Bedford. And we're looking at any other opportunities to have satellite vaccinations run by the county health department as necessary. As I said on today's municipal call, we have to make sure that before we set the whole operation up for a day or two, we've got a good volume of respondents who are prepared for vaccination. And so oftentimes we invite a community, if it's a helpful thing, talk to other neighboring communities, let's cluster together and then try to do this. We have generally been giving pediatric vaccinations and third shot vaccinations to people already vaccinated. That number of people who would be a first time person vaccinated is a very small number. It's under 10%. And most of those people are pretty committed not to getting vaccinated. So I think we've gone further than the Bronx and Rockland, Putnam, Dutchess, Orange, Ulster counties. We've had a good record of vaccination, as well as a better record of reducing the spread since the original outbreak of all of this. For any individuals that have difficulty with food accessibility, maybe folks with less resources and they're isolated, they can call our hotline number 995-5566 in county government, 995-5566, and we will arrange for them to have food delivered to them during the period by which they have tested positive, they're isolated, and they can't go out of the house. And then I would also mention the testing demand has dropped a lot since the holiday season 3 and 4 weeks ago. We all know that there were long lines, people struggling to get tested. During that period of time, we got a stash about 40,000 test kits from the state. We turned around and redistributed them to the various communities. They went like hotcakes. There was not enough for everybody anywhere. But the problem we were facing was all over the nation. It was in Georgia, in Pennsylvania, in the West Coast, where it was a question of available testing product. We have more now, and we think we're getting ahead of what is now a reduced demand for testing. But we're happy to work with the town in any of these things. The governor has indicated that the mask mandate is in effect to February 1st. We're waiting to see if she determines that she's going to expand it or not. We have implemented it very lightly. We haven't issued tickets to people. We haven't been punitive. We have tried to help through chambers of commerce, businesses and entities to make sure masks are available in every indoor setting that people could walk into, and signage that says this is required of the state law. We're not looking to have fist fights in front of every place of business in order to help implement it. We know that some counties are taking a different attitude. I think our successful numbers reflect the way that we have pragmatically dealt with this, even as some counties have approached it differently. But we don't anticipate any additional mandates that would close businesses. The policy emphasis for all players in the game is we want to try to keep the schools open, and we want to try to be as normal as we can. I think we'll start to look more normal as the weather gets better. And then most likely when we head to the winter season at the end of this year, we're going to be dealing with, sort of an annual necessity of having a COVID shot the way you get a flu shot. And it will still be very dangerous to people who are unvaccinated, and it'll be dangerous to people who are vaccinated but have an underlying health issue or are of advanced age. And being a senior citizen myself, the advanced age thing is on our mind, but so we take a few extra precautions because of those concerns. With that, Mr. Supervisor, I think I've kind of talked as fast as a New Yorker can talk, and I wanted to download a lot of information to the members of the board. If it's appropriate, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and I'm happy to exit stage left so you can resume your normal agenda.
Thank you very much, George. Does anyone here on the board have a question?
Is
County Executive?
Is
Mary?
there any update on remote meeting requirements from the governor at all?
The governor's executive order remains in force, allowing for meetings to be done remotely. That order has been in effect now for a couple of months. It's been extended along with her executive authority every time she renews it. These emergency declarations have a 30-day lifespan, and then they get reauthorized. So the ability to have meetings on WebEx, Zoom, virtually continues to be allowable not only for the village, for the town board, but for all of your appropriate boards and commissions, as long as you follow the rules as laid out by your town attorney.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, thank you very much, County Executive Latimer, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks very much, Tony. It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for making an accommodation. And I do look forward to returning with appropriate time, and we'll talk about some things and we'll do it in person. So I wish you all good health and good success in this term.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Okay, next we have our public comment. One of two public comment sessions tonight. Any comment from the folks here? Not too many, but. And on Zoom?
I do not have any right now.
Okay. Okay, so we'll move on to communication. So tonight we have a, let me just open it up here. It's a resolution for basically celebrating Laura Stone's 30 years of service with Parks and Rec. This is what it looks like, and I'll read directly from it. Resolution adopted by the town board of the town of Lewisboro at a meeting held on January 24th, 2022. And I should have said that I did speak to Laura. She was not able to make it tonight, so I'm going to accept this on her behalf. And I'll continue on with the resolution. Whereas Laura Stone has provided the town of Lewisboro with 30 years of dedicated and reliable service as a senior office assistant in the Lewisboro Parks and Recreation Department, having started on Monday, January 6, 1992. And whereas Laura Stone has been the department's front-facing provider of vital information and has thereby assisted innumerable town and school district residents with the means to succeed in enrolling in our programming. Laura has worked under 10 town supervisors, 3 parks and recreation superintendents, and with many colleagues, too numerous to count. And whereas since 1998, Laura Stone has been involved in the hiring, training, and evaluating of full and part-time employees who have worked for the department. And whereas Laura Stone was the driving force behind advancing the technology of the Parks and Recreation Department by introducing online registration, accepting credit cards, and the use of barcodes on pool, tennis, and platform tennis permits, resulting in better record keeping and efficiency overall. And whereas Laura Stone has overseen all seasons of brochure creation, programming, special events, and permits, while simultaneously answering visitors and callers' questions and concerns, booking the parks and preserves facilities, processing accounts receivables and payables, and payroll for the full and part-time and seasonal parks and recreation employees that could number in the hundreds during the summer months. And whereas Laura Stone continues to be the recorder of all Parks and Recreation Advisory Council meetings and also demonstrates her dedication by regularly working weekends, special events, and the annual fireworks spectacular. And whereas these contributions, together with Laura's number of years of public service to the residents of Lewisboro, are deserving of public notice. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of Lewisboro in the county of Westchester in the state of New York, in recognition of this outstanding accomplishment and excellent public service, does hereby offer the thanks of its population to Laura Stone. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this January 24th, 2022 town board meeting for future generations to see and reflect upon.
You want a second for that? It's a resolution, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I want a second.
Okay, second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's just
So,
amazing. This is one of the, the kind of employee that really makes the whole town in terms of relationships with the community. Thanks, Laura.
thank you very much, Laura, and I'll make sure to get this to you tomorrow. Okay. So next we have, it's not on the agenda, but it was something that I wanted to put on the agenda, but it was added on a little bit late. But we want to pass a resolution to allow the to authorize a highway wood processing RFP bid request. So let me just find the, yeah, that's it. I have it here. Okay.
Did we,
So-
we had some questions. I think there was the issue about some specification stuff. Is that to be identified by the highway superintendent or?
That is correct, yes. So we're going to have the highway superintendent put together the requirements for the bid proposal, for the bid request. And we'll see what kind of responses we get. And we will take the next action accordingly.
So we'll be able to put a value on this service to the town. as far as
Correct.
We'll process it.
Correct. So that'll give us an idea of what the costs are and you know, what various contractors are looking to charge for that service.
Okay, and the acceptance of those would be by the town board. Is that true, since it's a lease?
No, this is not the
This
lease.
is
Yeah,
not the
this is, yeah. So this is actually an authorization for the advertisement for bids.
For the bid?
For the bids, right?
the
And then we're going to
RFP.
compare that to a lease. The lease, so one of the ideas is Bedford has a similar concept where they actually lease out property to do their wood processing operation and mulching.
Okay,
So that is another.
so this
item
is
that
all
we would-
happening, this is going to be handled by the superintendent.
This is separate and
Okay.
apart from the idea of the lease. This is just to put a value on the service
Gotcha.
that whomever the lease goes to would be providing to the town and processing its wood throughout the year. So this is just one part of a bigger.
Gotcha.
So it's
Right.
essentially, we have a two-step process. We're going to first have the highway superintendent put out the bid, so we'll know the valuation referable to the mulching operations that are proposed. Then we're going to take that information and then we're going to move forward as far as the potential lease agreement.
And that's where the
Matches into
specs that you mentioned, Dan, would come in.
In the other agreement.
Yes.
Okay.
Just to answer Councilman Wallace's question, this is an authorization to advertise for bid. The highway superintendent will provide the specific bid specifications along with to town clerk Donahue, and then they will go out to bid with the general terms and conditions that we use for our bids. Anything that comes in, the town board can then accept the bid, can reject and rebid, or can do nothing. All right, but it's part of what the board is considering in terms of financial analysis for pricing for that service, in terms of what else is being done with the proposed lease. And it gives you a full set of what I would
Okay,
consider to be a full set of
then
financial
come back to
data
us.
in making your determination.
All right.
Greg, is there a time frame when a bid is put out as to response and?
There will, the specific bid specifications that Superintendent Ripperger would like will be in there. Typically, they're about 30-day bid in terms of from the advertisement to the opening of the bids, but it could be shorter or longer. And he'll present the numbers to you, and this is going to be either by the hour or by the day. That's how waste wood processing is usually done. And then you have the information to make your decisions. Right. So it needs a resolution to authorize it to go out for.
Right. So I resolved that we allow the superintendent of highways, Peter Ripperger, to authorize the highway superintendent, Peter Ripperger, to advertise for waste wood processing services for the town of Lewisboro for fiscal years 2022 and 2023.
The understanding that this is broad enough to encompass mulch and everything that would be there.
Correct. Anything that falls under wood processing services. Correct. Do I have a second?
Second. Oh, go ahead.
Second.
Discussion? Already had. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we have to poll on this one?
You would poll if you
Do
award.
we want to?
But for the advertisement, I would say no.
For the-
Okay.
for the actual selection.
Okay. So we don't need the roll call. Okay. Okay. All right, let's go on to new business. So Catherine Ferrara, is she on Zoom? Catherine,
Wait,
Tony.
Tony,
let's do,
Oh,
the consent.
consent.
I'm sorry?
The consent agenda.
Oh, sorry, consent agenda. Oh, consent agenda, approval of minutes of January 10th, 2022.
I think there was a change which was made by Janet, so moved.
Okay.
I'll make a
Discussion,
motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we move on to, sorry, I skipped that, Janet.
No, that's okay.
Okay, so Catherine Ferrara,
Yeah, she's on. Zoom.
she's on? We need to,
She is
We're
on
going down to new
Zoom.
business.
yes,
What? We're skipping old business?
we, oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I skipped I'm sorry, the quarterly report of comprehensive plan steering committee. Larry, you want to go ahead and I'll share my screen. Sorry about that, I was jumping ahead here. Hold on a second. Hold on, let me just get my,
working?
let me share my screen here. Where is the,
Okay, I understand I have about 10 minutes on the agenda, but I'll try to keep it quick and leave some time for questions. My name is Larry Mango. I'm a member of the Comprehensive Master Plan Steering Committee. I'm filling in for Catherine McGinn, who's the chair of the committee. And I want to take this opportunity to commend Catherine for her leadership, efficiency, and effectiveness to date on the committee. The other members of the committee are Charlene Indelicato, Mark Robbins, and John Wolf. And Kirsten Conran is the administrator for the committee. Our previous quarterly updates to the town board were on July 26th and October 25th of 2021. So this is the third quarterly update. And if anyone is interested in catching up on that content, the updates are detailed in the town board meeting minutes from those dates. Also, the steering committee page on the Lewisboro website is full of great resources, including a working project timeline for the committee, educational resources, and other resources. I'd like to.
I just want to be sure, Larry, that we're following.
Yeah, that's.
Am I good? Okay, yeah, just give me the nod when it needs to
Perfect.
change.
The slides don't perfectly match to the comments, but
Okay,
thank you. I want to thank Dan Welsh for his work as the committee's previous liaison. And I want to welcome Andrea Rendo, our councilwoman, as our new liaison to the committee. And we're happy to have you on board.
Thank you.
So thank you. All right, so in the time that I have, I would like to do a few things. I'd like to update you on the work since our last update. Oh, thank you. So I'll update you on the work since our last update. I will provide you with a reminder about the committee's timeline and our project outline, and also review our next steps. And then finally, I'll have some time hopefully for questions. So if we can move on to the next slide. Some additional notes on the slides. We issued an RFP in September after gathering feedback from the town board, the town attorney, the town planner, and the town planning board. And that's where I'm going to spend the most of my time talking about. But this slide shows our general outline and timeline of work. We're currently we broke it up into 3 phases. We're currently in this introductory phase. In that phase, we launched a community survey, which was launched last year. We received responses in November, and we began the due diligence process for seeking a consultant to assist the town on the update process. We received a number of RFPs, and we're currently undergoing interviews with the consultants who responded. And we expect to make a recommendation to the town board and provide supporting documentation to the board in March of this year. The survey that was conducted last year was closed in November. We received a large number of responses to the survey. And I have a number of slides in the presentation that I think we'll try to skip over just in the interest of time. We also hosted a public information session featuring Lewisboro census results presented by Norma Drummond, who is the Commissioner of the Westchester County Department of Planning. And that was held as a Zoom meeting, and it was open to all town residents. That was conducted actually on YouTube, and there is a link to the YouTube recording on the Master Plan Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee webpage. So I'll refer to us as the steering committee going forward. All right, guess we could go on to the next slide. Having a consultant help the town in updating the master plan is a costly endeavor. Typically, New York State plans, updates to master plans can cost between $100,000 and $250,000, but they range widely depending on the services that are involved. You could see on the slide here, the proposals that we received clustered around $135,000 to $165,000. And there may be additional costs depending on outreach and updates to the zoning code and the timeline. If the plan takes longer than anticipated and there are more public meetings than anticipated, that could increase the overall costs. To date, the steering committee has applied for some grants, or at least one grant. We have applied for a grant from the New York State Consolidated Funding grant for $40,000 over the summer. That application was denied, but there is a follow-up interview with New York State where we expect to get feedback, and we also expect that we would be applying for the same grant again next year, actually this year in 2022. The committee is also planning on applying for the Hudson River Valley Greenway Community Grant this spring, which is in the amount of $20,000. One of the questions that we are asking consultants during interviews is how they can help us, or how they can help guide us in finding additional funding and grant sources for this work. Of course, grant funding is always uncertain, so the town cannot count on grants in moving forward with this project, but we do anticipate that there is funding that may be available that we would recommend applying for. All right, if we can move on to the next slide. I covered this a little bit already, so I think we can move on, and I'll talk just a little bit about the survey. Now, in the slide deck and the resources that you have tonight presented, there's a number of slides following this, which we will skip over again in the interest of time. But the community survey that we conducted, we made it available digitally and in hard copies. Most of the responses came back digitally. I think 97% of the responses came back digitally. The survey was open between June and November of last year. And we had a total of 897 respondents. And the average time you could see is about 6 minutes and 15 seconds that were spent on the survey. The survey consisted of 13 questions, and it was a combination of multiple choice questions and some open-ended questions. And the open-ended questions, well, a lot of the multiple choice questions also had an open-ended set part of the question where respondents could fill in. But maybe if we could skip ahead a number of slides. Each one of these slides provides the responses to the questions. But if you could skip ahead, Tony, to the last couple of questions, there are some diagrams which are called word clouds. And you'll see a whole bunch of words on the screen. There we go. So the last two questions on the survey were open-ended questions, and they were really asked with the purpose of getting some feedback from the community so that they could be, the questions and the answers could be reviewed, and it could give guidance to either the steering committee or the consultants that are engaged in the process. you could see on the screen, there were 767 respondents out of 897 spent the time filling in responses to these questions. And the responses ranged from a few words to a few sentences to paragraphs. And what the word cloud does is it pulls all of the words that were used the most in the responses, so you can kind of get a general idea, even though it's open-ended questions, where people were focusing their responses on. And I thought it was interesting that businesses and the local business community came up as one of the largest responses. So the ones in that light red or purple color are the ones that generated the most responses. But it's also interesting to note that out of those 767 responses, the word businesses came up, I think it was 57 times. So it was less than 10% of the responses noted businesses in their response. And the final question on the survey is on the next slide. This question was, what do you feel are the biggest issues facing the town today? And consistently throughout the answers, taxes and high taxes were some of the responses that came up the most. And
Aren't those kind of the same thing?
the same thing. So that was a little, I guess, disheartening, because it's something that, you know, of the real estate taxes that most residents pay, it's something that the town has the least control over, I think. In any case, those were the responses to the survey. This doesn't tell you a lot. We have not really fully digested all the information. 755 answers to this question means that that's a lot of reading to do and collating and tabulating. And so we're in the process of doing that. Okay, the next slide is how the community could get involved. We expect the community will get involved in many different ways, but this is really something that is yet to be determined. So we will have responses back on the RFPs. And ultimately the town board will determine the scope of the work that will be involved, but we will, as the steering committee, be making recommendations. The next slide. I think we covered that. Okay. This is probably the most important part, and the reason why I'm here tonight is the near-term next steps for the steering committee. As I believe I mentioned, we did receive a number of responses to the RFP that we sent out from consultants, planning firms, engineering firms, and we expect to complete our due diligence in the review of the project consultant submissions and make a recommendation and provide supporting documentation to the town board in March. At that point, we will be on standby for any assistance as the board begins to make your decision-making process. And in the time between now and then, we will continue to analyze the initial survey results and prepare to make them publicly available to town residents, as well as to the consultants that may ultimately be engaged. And with that, I think I can open it up to any questions that you might have.
Good evening. Thanks for being here. Are the members of the steering committee satisfied with how the phase one of the process is unfolding as far as getting the community input, where you are in the RFP, as far as timing? I guess, are things progressing as you're hoping they would thus far? And is there anything that you are looking for from the town board at this point?
There has been a lot of community input in the survey at the very least. And there has been participation in some of our Zoom meetings for the committee meetings, as well as the public information sessions that we've held. We were anticipating or hoping to get 300 to 400 survey responses, and we got almost 2 to 3 times what we were hoping for. So we believe that based on the size of the community, that we have a lot of input to the survey. It's very important for the master plan update process to have as much community input as possible, so the town board can feel like they can depend on the output and the results of this process. So going forward, we would like to have more community participation, and we're hoping and we believe that a lot of those meetings will be in person, and we expect some of them to be digitally through Zoom or other forums as well.
Will this slideshow be made available on our website now that we have it?
Can we put that, you have a website, so we could.
Yeah,
put
it
this
could
on
be,
there?
it could be made available on the town website, or I believe on the steering committee webpage. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, in fact, the other presentations that you mentioned, they're in the minutes, but you could put links to them on the this steering committee page as well, just to kind of have everything in one place.
Larry, the recommendation that you're providing to us in March, that's going to be a recommendation based on the feedback you've gotten from the various companies who responded to the RFP.
Right. So the steering committee is currently reviewing the submissions that were provided. And we're doing that in conjunction with the planning board and members of some of the other town committees. The next step is to interview some of the respondents and then ultimately make a recommendation to the town board. But the decision on how to move forward is fully up to the town board and your own deliberations. We are just here to make a recommendation on how to go forward.
Right. Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Looking forward to the next steps.
Right. Thank you very much for your
Thank
attention.
you very much, Larry.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Start this shit here. So. Just, just minimize this here. Actually, we don't need this anymore. Okay, so now on to new business. Oops. Is that okay? How's that? It's good.
Good now.
Okay.
I don't know what happened there, but okay. Okay, so now we are ready for the presentation regarding the Drug Abuse Prevention Council Program by Catherine Ferrara.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I am Catherine Ferrara. I'm the program coordinator for the Bedford Lewisboro Pound Ridge Drug Abuse Prevention Council. We're also known as the DAPC, and we're funded by and we serve the towns of Bedford, Lewisboro, and Pound Ridge. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about what we do and what we have accomplished as of late. So our council works to create a positive and safe environment for individuals, families, and the community through the programs we plan, the information we distribute, and the initiatives that we're involved in. We do work very hard to raise awareness about the dangers of drug and alcohol use and abuse, but that isn't the only thing that drug prevention programs such as ours is about. A large part of our work is based on what the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, or SAMHSA, identifies as risk and protective factors associated with drug use and other problem behaviors. So we utilize this research to plan programs that create a supportive community environment which enhance these protective factors while reducing the risk factors. So for example, SAMHSA's research has identified undiagnosed and/or untreated mental health disorders to be a risk factor, which would increase an individual's likelihood of developing a substance use disorder. Therefore, targeting the topic of mental health in our community programs, which we did several times in 2021 alone, helps educate community members while also connecting them with the resources and support they may need for themselves or for a loved one. This in turn decreases the likelihood of them self-medicating or engaging in other risky behaviors. In regards to protective factors that we work to strengthen, a great example is research focuses a lot on positive family relationships, especially for youth. Therefore, based on that research, we plan programming that is geared towards helping parents understand and communicate with their kids. And we targeted this several times in 2021 alone. This type of programming helps strengthen the relationships within these families, which in turn helps decrease the likelihood of any child or teen in that family engaging in drug use or other risky behaviors. And that's the thing about prevention. A lot of the benefits that prevention provides are what you do not see happening. It's all about the problems that we prevent with the education and the resources we provide. And again, all of this is based on established research in the field of prevention. So just to get you up to speed on what we've had going on lately, we currently have 2 ongoing presentation series happening. One is called Let's Talk, and this started back in May of 2020 when we joined forces with the Bedford Playhouse with the goal of bringing public events, leading experts, shared resources, and formal discussions, all that advance the cause of addressing mental health and substance use disorders as early as possible. So in 2021, 9 presentations took place as part of the series. We targeted topics such as vaping, binge drinking, addiction and stigma, youth mental health, and suicide prevention. We also we had presentations focusing on helping kids transition to the new normal as the pandemic is constantly altering their lives and routines, whether it be they're in virtual school or hybrid, or their sports programs are happening or they're not. It's causing a lot of disruption and it's always changing. And topics like this are so important for our council to address, because even though a topic like that, when we present that, it doesn't directly address drug use and addiction. We know that kids, like all people, are struggling during the pandemic. And that continuous struggle can put them at risk for issues with mental health or substance use. So we want to make sure we address the struggle so that kids can be supported with the resources they need to come out of this. So again, that's just another example of how there are so many different types of topics and programs which fall under the drug prevention umbrella. And another series we have going on is something called No to Prevent. And this began back in July of 2020 when we joined forces with other drug prevention coalitions in Westchester County to plan and implement virtual programming for parents. And the purpose of this series is to empower parents with essential tools and information that they need to raise resilient kids, confident kids, to help strengthen their relationships with their kids, and in turn reduce risky behaviors. So last year in 2021, we had 8 programs that took place as part of the series, and it addressed a variety of topics: marijuana, underage drinking, supporting teens and reducing their stress, parenting for the summer before college and beyond, helping kids develop a resilience. So again, we really just target a variety of different things. And the great thing about the virtual program has been that we've been able to get information to community members who aren't able to attend during the time of the presentation by utilizing video recordings and tip sheets we make outlining the presentations. Another thing we accomplished in 2021 were informational campaigns for National Recovery Month and Red Ribbon Week, where we did ribbon and banner displays, informational flyers, email newsletters. So those were some of the really great things that we did for community awareness building, which is really important because sometimes with topics like this, it's very easy for people to say that it doesn't apply to them. So making sure that we really take the time with those initiatives to build that awareness is really so important. With that said, I just wanted to mention that prior to the pandemic, we did a lot of other different things, which I know the council looks forward to returning to. A lot of it was in-person events, including we did parent presentations at the school. We did daytime assemblies for the students at our local schools. We did volunteer fairs for teens where we help connect them with local places they can volunteer based on what they're interested in. So places like libraries and nature reserves and ambulance corps. And that's so important to our mission because the more engaged we can get these kids in their community in a positive way, the less likely they are to be getting into stuff that we don't want them getting into. So again, I just wanted to mention that because all of those programs have always been a really important part of what we do, and we really do look forward to returning to that in the future once things hopefully return more to normal. So again, that was just a little bit to get you up to speed about what we do and what we've been up to lately. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
I'm curious how the participation in all your great programming has been, over the past pandemic years versus prior to that. You see any trends or?
Yes. So we've actually noticed an increase in attendance since the pandemic. And I don't know, I think it's a combination of things. I think one is that with the pandemic, I think now more people are concerned about topics relating to mental health and substance use because there are so many people that are struggling because of COVID. So I do think that has to do with it, but also we've learned that incorporating virtual programming has really helped parents. I mean, there have been people that have maybe wanted to attend the parent programs we've had in the past, but they couldn't get home from work in time or didn't have a babysitter. So we've really noticed that that virtual option has helped reach more people who maybe wouldn't be able to attend something in person. So we talked about making sure we address that in the future when hopefully things are back to normal. When we're doing more in person, we want to make sure that we can set up live streaming and those video recordings so that we're still accommodating those people that we see really want to attend, but maybe just in person, they can't make it happen on a weekday evening.
I have a question. I was looking at the programs and I really loved the topics. I thought they were all relevant and important, but I see that a lot of the participation, at least for the town of Lewisboro, seemed to occur prior to the pandemic, 2018, 2019, but 2020 and 2021, I don't know, if you could tell me how much participation occurred on the part of the residents of Lewisboro to these virtual programs.
Are you talking about the number of Lewisboro residents who attended the programs?
Who attended or went back and watched them? I'm assuming that, you had said that many times people can't make it at the time that they're necessarily presented virtually or in person. And so they have the opportunity to take advantage of these programs at another time because they're recorded.
So I don't have that breakdown per town. We have attendance numbers, but I don't have a breakdown of who is from what town, unfortunately. That's something if you'd like moving forward, we could try to find a way to track that. But that's not something that's built into the registration.
All right, well, how are these programs advertised in Lewisboro? How do we get the word out to our Lewisboro residents?
So what I've been doing is, particularly in regards to Lewisboro, is I've been always, every time we have the flyer ready to go, I forward them to the supervisor and to Mary Hafter, she's been incredibly helpful in making sure that they're posted on the supervisor's page to get the word out. We have our webpage I go on. I have a specific DAPC Facebook that I go into like the Lewisboro and Katona groups and make sure I'm sharing it there as well. We have our email blast that people sign up for. So that is how we have been advertising the programs.
Okay, so Mary Hafter is just one person and she can't do it all.
Right.
So one person. So putting it on the supervisor's webpage is good, but I mean, are posters put up in the school? Do we have representatives from our town that sit on the council that bring things back into the community?
So we do have right now one person from Lewisboro. We did have a few more representatives, but We had some people who are no longer able to be on the council anymore. So right now, each town gets 5 spots on the council. So since one is being filled by one Lewisboro town resident, there are 4 spots where you could appoint more residents, and that would be very helpful for us because, like you said, then they could help spread the word about what we have going on.
And before the pandemic, correct me if I'm wrong, the SRO at the high school was highly involved in getting the word out and being present at the presentations and involving the student body there. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes, correct. And that has been something that's been difficult because now we lost Frank's secret and now there's no SRO that has taken his place. So right now we're really feeling the effects of that. I reached out to the principal at John Jay, just asking who could fill in, even just attending our meetings to bring that message back. So she said she is working with the clinical team to try to get someone to kind of fulfill that role.
And I saw in the materials that you provided to us that, and you spoke about it, that there was a National Recovery Month in which banners, flyers, and ribbons were distributed through Fox Lane Middle School and High School. But I didn't see anything about those items being distributed through the middle school and the high school in Lewisboro. Is that correct?
Correct. So that's where we've always been able to work with the schools, the Katona Lewisboro schools. And we've done that through Frank Secret, the SRO. And also there was a social worker, Curie Ryan, who they moved down to the elementary school and they pulled from, participating in things that she was doing at the high school level. So that's why we did reach out to the schools, because we are missing that piece that we've had in the past, that we've done so many different programs for the kids, whether it be the ribbon initiatives or assemblies for the kids. We had someone collaborating with us in the schools. And since September of 2021, we have not had that. We did have that up until that point. But right now, we've been asking the school to just kind of give us somebody, since they don't have the social worker and the SRO that has been collaborating with us in the past.
All right. And just as it's my understanding based on your presentations that the DAPC, they basically are involved in providing programming and information to young people and to parents in our communities. Do they provide any counseling services, or do they provide any type of referral services to people who maybe based on one of these programs, realize that they need help or they want to reach out? Does DAPC provide any of that information?
So referral services, yes. So we don't do counseling, but I've had people reach out to me, especially right after programs. And I have different counselors that I refer to or treatment centers based on what it is that they're looking for. So we always mention in our programs the information and the who they could reach out to. And when they send an email, that's how we do our referrals. And so again, largely we see that right after a program where it's fresh in someone's mind and maybe they trigger something and makes them realize they want to reach out for help. So that's when we normally get those requests and we do give referrals.
Okay. So I guess my only concern is that I know in the grand scheme of things, as far, this is a multi-municipal organization with Bedford, Pound Ridge, and Lewisboro. And I know that in comparison to what the other 2 towns contribute to the program, our contribution may seem smaller, but it's been $6,500 a year for the past 2 years. And it sounds like to me that the residents of Lewisboro haven't really received a lot of the things that you're offering, which is sad because this is a really great program. So that's $13,000, almost $13,000 that we spent that the residents didn't receive any benefit from these past couple of years. Not all residents, maybe there was 1 or 2, but it's hard to put our finger on it because unfortunately you don't have the numbers to tell us how many residents were able to participate in the programs. And it sounds that due to the fact that we had no SRO, that as one thing, and we only have 1 member out of 5 on the committee to get the word out, and Mary Hafta on the supervisor's page, that we're very limited in our ability to get the word out to allow our residents to participate. So I know that on the agenda tonight, we're proposing that we resolve to continue to participate in this program. And I'm just hoping that you can help me understand how we can do better and how we can get the word out and how we can afford our residents the opportunity to take advantage of what seems to be some really great programming that you do, or at least you provided, or were able to provide to a good portion of Bedford and Pound Ridge last year, almost on a monthly basis. So how can we do better? What do you think?
Well, I will say though, I mean, the only thing I will say is this was all offered to Lewisboro, and I wish I had those numbers. I don't, but I don't necessarily think we could say that they were not receiving anything. But I think that the first thing that could be done to make sure that that Lewisboro could be served better is to fill the other 4 spots on the council, because then that way that is more involvement where there's people in Lewisboro helping us understand how to reach the community, the Lewisboro community in a better way. I also did want to mention too, I know that the supervisor on Collis knows, but I have resigned from my position. I'm just staying until a new person is found. So maybe that new person will have some awesome ideas on how to do that. I've been really proud of the work that we've done. And so I hope moving forward that the new program coordinator and hopefully some new Lewisboro residents that can be appointed to the council could do an even better job, so that next year at this time you feel happier with the outcome.
Well, have all the presentations been virtual during the pandemic?
Yes, all the presentations during the pandemic have been virtual. So with the schools, keep in mind, we're really, so much of what we've done in the past with the schools, they're not letting, which with COVID, they're not letting people into the schools right now. So we're limited with what we can do with that. So that's why we've been trying to do as many virtual things as possible, because of the limitations. So we didn't want to stop the education. So that's why we shifted to virtual.
And when they were in person, the presentations, were they rotating as far as the locations where they were held, or were they always being held at the same place?
No, we rotated. So it based on, so for example, programs that I coordinated with Kerry Ryan at John Jay High School or with Frank Secret, those would normally be held if we can get the space at the high school, or if not, another location in Lewisboro. And we invited residents from the other town, but when we coordinated it with someone from Lewisboro, that's where we would hold it. And if we coordinated a program with a student assistance counselor from Fox Lane, that's where we would hold the program, but again, invite residents from the other towns as well.
Yeah,
So it would be at a variety of locations.
I was going to add that I think the last presentation that was done in our town was 2018. It was actually here in the library, and Frank Secret took part in that. So I think that was the last time we had one. Catherine, in terms of this year, do you have any idea of how many programs are scheduled throughout these 3 municipalities?
So we have 2 programs this week. One was taking place this evening. One is taking place on Thursday, virtual programs. And then we have 4 more on the calendar between now and May for the No to Prevent. And we're working on some more Let's Talk ones, but that's all that we have so far. We don't have the whole year calendar. We're just trying to get everything kind of coordinated for the first few that we have on deck.
Okay, thank you.
Clearly, there's a great opportunity just to do a lot more promotion in the near term anyway.
I also just wanted to mention, in the past, I know that Peter Parsons, if he wanted a certain presentation, a topic, a location, he would suggest that to me. So keep in mind moving forward, because again, a new program coordinator will be coming on board, that if a town board is concerned about a topic that would fall, under that drug prevention umbrella, definitely reach out. That's something that can be done as well. And just say, hey, we really want this addressed. Can you find someone? Can you put something together? We want it virtual. We want it in person. And again, we've done that for Peter Parsons in the past. And I know that the council would be happy to take any requests that the town board has for certain programs moving forward.
I'm sure we'll find some programming that we need here in Lewisboro. I know many of our neighbors are working their way through many emotions and anxieties because of COVID. So we look forward to working with you on that.
I guess we can't get a credit, huh?
Yeah. Catherine, regarding the new coordinator, do you have anyone lined up to take your position?
No, from what I understand, they don't have anyone lined up as of yet, but I'm supposed to be getting an update on that this week. So I will ask that they update you on that. From my understanding, I mean, I don't know how it's gonna be done the first time, but when they hired me, all 3 towns would interview the candidate and then discuss from there.
Right. Okay.
Would it be possible for you to prepare sort of a solicitation for these council members, describing the types of things they need to do, the frequency of meetings, and the
Absolutely, yes.
that'd
No
be
problem.
helpful, so we can get that out.
We definitely do that.
I don't have any more questions.
Tony, do you have anything else?
No, I do not. All right, well, thank you very much, Catherine,
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item is related to the DAPC. It's a resolution to approve the DAPC, the 2022 DAPC agreement, and authorizing the supervisor to sign it. So since I would be signing it, someone else needs to.
I move that we sign the 2022 DAPC agreement as presented,
Second,
or that we authorize the supervisor to sign. Sorry.
second the motion.
And could we get a roll call, please?
We have discussion.
Yeah, discussion.
Since we just had the presentation and since our residents have just heard about it, could we give them the opportunity to maybe ask us questions or inquire about it a little before we go ahead and vote on it and expend the money? I mean, it could be after public comments tonight, but at least give them the opportunity. This is the first time that it's come up, and I know that we have to move ahead and vote to participate in this multi-municipal agreement, but I think we covered a lot of material in the past 15 minutes.
How does the board feel about that? Mary?
We can wait until after public comment.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
That's fine.
All right, so we'll wait till after
Withdraw the
public comment.
motion for the moment temporarily. We have a motion in a second. If the voter to withdraw.
So,
So you're withdrawing the motion for now. You're tabling the motion, I guess.
You're table, either way.
tabling, okay,
Motion to table.
okay.
There
Okay.
has to be a motion to table in a second, he said.
Okay, second tabling the motion.
Okay.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we have a resolution to approve the 2022 Northeast Westchester Special Recreation Interagency Agreement and authorizing the supervisor to sign it. So I have a description here. I can read about the program. This is a program that's run through Parks and Rec. The total cost, it's paid in 2 installments. The total cost is $10,966. And the description is as follows. We service those individuals. This is the Westchester Special Recreation Interagency. Westchester Special Recreation. We service those individuals who cannot participate in existing programs offered by Westchester-based municipal recreation programs. Our programs provide experiences that inspire confidence building skills, foster friendship, and cultivate meaningful relationships. Northeast Westchester Special Recreation strives to provide community-based therapeutic recreation programs that enhance the physical, cognitive, emotional, and social functioning of children, teens, and adults with developmental disabilities. We provide confidence-building experiences that foster and cultivate meaningful relationships. The organization is a 501c3 organization operating under the auspices of the New York State Office for People with Developmental Disabilities as a certified respite provider. The agency is led by a board of directors comprised of the recreation superintendents from the 12 participating communities located in the northeast portion of Westchester County, New York. Our structure and our programs provide the specific type of support needed for success in community recreational programs. Northeast is the second largest agency of its kind in the state of New York and has gained local and statewide attention for the quality and novelty of programs and services. Programs are community-based therapeutic recreational activities for disabled individuals. The organization offers a variety of year-round activities designed with the specific support needed for participant success. Some of the activities include bowling, day trips, dances, team sports, weekend trips, swimming, tennis, Special Olympics, vacation programs, community outings, project adventures, sports skills training, and music therapy. Summer day camp for disabled individuals is provided by the organization and is an opportunity for children and teens with developmental disabilities to enjoy a 6-week community day camp program. Participants enjoy swimming, field trips, and other special activities. The organization provides a 1-to-3 ratio of instructors or coordinators to participants. Individual assessment and ongoing evaluation and collaboration with family members, school personnel, and other outside professionals. Yeah, so that's the description. And we have, just to add, we have 33 members, 33 residents who
33 participants, right?
participants in this program today.
And the cost is predicated upon, looks like 2020 census figures, right?
Yes.
Correct, as well as they factor in the number of participants. Yes.
Okay, motion to, I'll make a motion to approve the 2022 Northeast Westchester Special Recreation Interagency Agreement and authorizing the supervisor to sign as presented.
Andrea Rendo, second.
Discussion? All in favor? Oh, roll call. Andrew?
Aye.
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 Okay, so moving on to the next item. This is a resolution approving the school resource officer SRO agreement and authorizing the supervisor to sign pending approval by Katona Lewisboro School District. So we have an amendment to the existing SRO agreement, which basically will place an SRO in the school for the remainder of the school year through June 30th of 2022. This agreement has been reviewed by our chief of police. And it's an amendment to the original agreement, which was dated September 1st, 2016.
It's not really an amendment. It's essentially an extension.
It's an
Putting it back in
extension. It's an
place.
amendment that extends the term.
Right. And
Yes.
puts it back in place for the term of February 1, 2022 through June 30, 2022. And we expect that this will be adopted by the Board of Education later this week.
On Thursday night, correct?
Okay,
Right.
so moved.
Want a motion?
Yes.
I'll
Okay.
second Andrea Rendo.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And a roll call as well for that. Andrea Rendo, yes?
Aye.
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 That's that. Okay, the last item under new business is a resolution determining the Town Park Playground project to be a type 2 secret determination. The purpose of this is as part of the SAM grant that we will be receiving from New York State. They require this determination to be made and filed as part of the application. And in consultation with Kellard Session, our town engineers, they did determine and sent me an email providing the reasons as to why it is a type 2 secret determination.
And type 2 means a negative declaration as far as environmental impact.
Means
That is
no-
correct.
No further action. There's no declaration.
No
significant
declaration.
amounts of it. You
Right.
don't have to do anything more.
Okay. So do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Do we
Okay.
need a roll call for that?
Not for that one.
Next is the second public comment. Anyone in the audience here have a comment? Anybody on Zoom?
I do have a hand up. I have a few hands up. Carol Cernak.
Hi, this is Carol Cernak, South Salem, New York. First, I would like to say thank you to this town board for being so proficient and getting to the point and not getting bogged down in the details that nobody really needs to know about. I would like to thank the town board for moving forward with finding a solution to the mulch timber piles at the Salt Dome property and for moving forward on how to operate at this site for the benefit of the municipality without further negative impact to the wetlands, surrounding wetlands, nature preserve, and site views. This property sits in 2-acre residential zoning in our historical hamlet and just outside the historic district overlay. I believe I'm beginning to get your strategy and I really appreciate it. Just to let you know, the commercial lease agreement between Westwood and Bedford, that property is 27 acres and it's you know, a huge amount of property compared to what the Salt Dome property is. But I think I understand your strategy, so I applaud you for that. I think that's all I have to say. I mean, I would like to speak to the urgency of getting that mulch pile removed because, you know, just because it's winter and we've had these cold temperatures, doesn't mean that pile there at the Salt Dome, that mulch pile is not decomposing. Honestly, it's too big to probe, so we don't know what the internal temperature is. We just probed one of our leaf piles here at Farview for our composting operation, and it probed today at 115 degrees, which, you know, is kind of bizarre. But that's where the animals, the deer and the coyotes nest in the wintertime. You'll never see snow on a mulch pile. It's for a reason. So also, I'd like to address the remediation for the site views, especially from the cemetery to the Salt Dome, and with respect, you know, doing the right thing for the wetlands and the nature preserve and all that. So I applaud you and I thank you and appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
Good night, Carol. Okay, thank you, Carol. And next I'm asking Barbara Mangione to unmute.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to know if someone on the board or if the board in general can clarify something that Ms. Ferraro brought up regarding the council and the empty positions. Does anyone know who advertises these positions and in what manner they go out? Is it up to the council to reach out to Lewisboro residents, or is it up to our town government now to put something out to recruit some more members to fill those positions? Thank you.
Well, Barbara, what Dan Welsh asked for was for Catherine to send us the information so that we could properly get it out to our residents, because I don't think anyone on this board knew that such positions existed. And so now we want to try to get the word out to our residents, because obviously we're missing a really good opportunity here. So I think once she gets us that information, then the 5 of us will do the best we can to disperse it out to the community so that we can get it out on all the potential avenues and see what type of response we get. And then we will keep in contact with the council.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Barbara. And that is it.
Okay.
Motion to close public
nope.
comment.
Okay. Take a second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve claims? Have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next town board meeting is February 14th.
We have to go
Yes.
back.
Oh, we have to go back
Table.
to,
So it'd be a motion to remove in a second. If you pass that, then you can reconsider the resolution.
Okay, so I will remake my motion to approve or to authorize
Wait, you
the.
have to.
First, you have to
motion
take it from the
to-
table. It was tabled by
Oh, it's
motion.
table. Okay,
Somebody has to make a motion to remove it from the table.
motion to untable remove from the table the resolution to approve the Drug Abuse Prevention Council agreement. And authorize the supervisor.
can you,
Second.
can you do that as a supervisor?
I motion
Okay,
that we remove from the table.
Okay, second.
discussion? All in favor? Aye.
So now you can remove Dan, right?
So now it's open for discussion and somebody can move to actually approve it. If,
Okay, any more discussion?
It just, I'm just sad because we spent quite a bit of money the past 2 years, and I don't think that the Lewisboro residents got their bang for the buck, so to speak. And I'm hoping that now with the new board that we're gonna change that this year.
Well, we'll also make sure that we are fully represented on the
Yeah.
council, so we can ensure that our residents are fully represented on the council and get the full service that they need and deserve.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I think our town, I mean, this is the only way we're currently involved in any form of drug abuse prevention and education. And so I think we should have something in place, and I guess right now, this is what we have.
I did speak with Frank Seeger about it, and he said at the time that he was helping with the program that he thought that the programming was very good, and he thought it went over well at the school. So
Do they have a website that links to prior presentations and programming that people can look at?
There is,
So we should probably set up a link as well.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we have it on our website, but it could be beefed up quite a
Yeah.
bit. It's just one little paragraph. So I think there's opportunity to.
Yeah, 'cause that'll also for new council members, if we can somehow link up to prior presentations to.
All
build
the
interest in it.
above.
yeah. Is that under the,
Domestic
Under
violence, mental health, and
community
drug
rights
abuse resources page
right,
Okay.
on lewisborogov.com.
right.
Under community.
Under community, yes. First you click on community, and then you can click on domestic violence, mental health, and drug abuse resources. And that's probably where we'll put the information for people to consider applying for a council seat.
sounds good. So we're gonna make a
And now your
motion.
motion.
So that's end of discussion. And
End
all
of
those in
discussion.
favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Do we
need a roll
do
call?
we need a roll call vote
Oh,
because we're spending
There we
money?
go.
Yes.
Aye.
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 Shaw says yes.
Who made the motion second? I'm sorry.
Dan made the
Dan
motion.
Welch,
Okay.
Who seconded?
And who seconded?
And Andrew, you second?
Original second or the untabling second?
On table,
All right.
second.
That was.
I motion to untable.
Correct, but now you're making a motion to accept this.
To accept this. So who seconds it?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Polling of the board. Mary, would you like to start?
Yes, please. I want to send a thanks out to all the community crafters who are making special packages for the seniors. They did Thanksgiving goodies and December snowmen, and they're getting ready with secret Valentines for the seniors. And there's still time to join in that festivities. If you'd like to volunteer, reach out to the library. Also, the library is having a fundraiser called the Taste of the Town Raffle. And there is a basket of gift certificates from the Horse and Hound, La Vista, 123, Baccio, and Haiku. It's worth $400 of eating. And so if you buy a ticket, you will be able to possibly win and support the library at the same time. One more thing for the library, they're having a discussion of a documentary called Alice's Ordinary Peoples about Alice Treguet, who was an active member of the civil rights movement here in the United States. And the filmmaker Craig Rudnick will be discussing this on Zoom on February 3rd. For more information, reach out to the library. And for one more thing for the seniors, there is a Snow Angel program for the community of Lewisboro. You can either volunteer to help a senior citizen remove ice and snow from their walk and driveway, or if you are a senior in need of this service, you can reach out to Pam Veith at 914-232-6162 or email seniors@lewisboro.gov.com. Thank you. Oh, also one more thing. At covidtest.gov, you can sign up for 4 free tests from the United Post Office Service, and they will send you 2 boxes of tests. Each house can get 4 tests altogether. That's covidtest.gov.
Yes, sir.
I just want to check with Greg. So with the foreclosure moratorium that's been lifted as of January 15th. Okay, so I understand through council, we're in a position to be able to proceed forward on that regard, that moratorium that's been in place, and pursue potential revenue opportunities. And also as we move forward early in the year, we should make sure, because that's something that carries over from last year, we should make sure that we get an updated inventory of town properties that are in our inventory and potentially available. So we should make sure that we get that
Pre-foreclosure properties.
right,
Yeah.
pre-foreclosure. So there'll be, as we talked about last year, a central place where people can take a look at the existing inventory of town properties. Thanks.
Andrew?
Hello, everyone. I see that my comments at the last town board meeting became a topic of conversation at the last library board meeting. And I see that 1 or 2 of the board members extended an invitation to me to come to one of their meetings and have a discussion about their finances and the running of the library. And I would like to accept that invitation. And I look forward to attending hopefully one of the next few board meetings so that we can have that discussion and they can bring me up to speed.
So the Westchester Power program is relaunching as we had programmed, and the letters are hitting people's boxes. So if you have any questions about that, all the information's in there about contacting Sustainable Westchester. And besides that, I know there's an interest from the Sustainability Committee to look at the stretch code. And so maybe that's something we might bring to a future agenda very soon. Because there's an opportunity to get that on the books and benefit from that. So that's the building code, the enhanced building
Enhanced
code.
building code.
Yeah, for
Right.
yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Just a couple of items. Open committee positions. We actually have a page now on our website where we're going to post these positions. I was hoping to have that completed last week, but I didn't have a chance to do that. I do have a list of the open positions. I just have to review them. And as soon as I've done that, we will make sure those get posted on the website. I do want to thank also our county executive, George Latimer, for popping in today via Zoom and giving us a COVID update. Just a couple of things that he mentioned, which I'll repeat here. The Westchester County is able to provide food assistance for residents isolating for COVID, regardless of your income level. And if you need that assistance, you can call Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The number is 995-5566. And that's all I have.
Tony, I have one more thing.
Yeah.
I know you and I preliminarily discussed this, but we were talking about the town board agenda, which I know a lot of people brought up last year. You know, for me, getting it on Friday has been tough because, you know, by the time I go through it and all the attachments and then, you know, to determine whether or not something's missing or something needs to be filled in, it's Friday. It's very difficult to get it. And then when we do get it, it's Monday. And then we're all rushing to try to get through the information. I assume it's just as frustrating for the residents when they're looking. And I know that you and I had discussed, and I'm sure you discussed with a few other people, of changing that process so that we've got a tentative agenda earlier in the week.
Right.
Maybe you want to.
Yeah, so the goal is, and I agree, I think we need to close out the agenda by say, you know, Wednesday the latest, which gives the town board the opportunity to review the agenda items and any supporting documentation. And anything that is presented to us after that agenda is created, we add it to the next town board meeting, unless it's something urgent that needs to be added on last minute. But yeah, that's what we're going to strive for.
That's
And
wonderful.
yeah, and this way we're all prepared.
Yes, it's,
Yeah.
I mean, when I was on the planning board, we kind of tightened up on that, and it just helped as far as just, you know, time to prepare properly.
Right.
To digest what's coming forward. It just makes for actually more efficient conversation when you get there, because everybody had time to talk about it and prepare.
Yeah.
Great.
So that'll be my goal for the next meeting. So we'll have it, well, the agenda closed out 4 or 5 days before the meeting.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next meeting, I think, right? You're up to.
Next meeting, yeah, which is, the next meeting is February 14th, Valentine's Day, which reminds me, one other item that I neglected to mention, our Veterans Advisory Committee are going to be working with Congressman, actually Chris Burdick's office, and I'm not sure if Congressman Maloney, with delivering Valentine's cards to veterans. And I think there may be some other groups involved as well. I don't have the full details, but when we do, we'll put it out there on our communications platform, social media, email. So yeah, so I just wanted to put that out there. Thanks to John Lemke. He's the one coordinating that. He's our Veterans Advisory Committee Chair. So the next meeting is February 14th at 7:30 p.m. at the Lewisboro Library. And now I'll motion to go into executive session. Do I have it for
personnel.
for
Personnel
personnel matters?
Second.
All in favor? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.